back to this West Virginia and Houston game. That West Virginia and Houston game was like, to me, West Virginia beating them 45 with 45-35. Houston scored late, turned the ball over. Houston had no business losing to West Virginia at that point in time. I must say that. Just no business losing to that team. There's no way. They went into that game 2-6, 0-5 in Big 12 play. They went into this game once again 2-6, 2-6, 0-5 in Big 12 play, and was able to beat a Big 12 team that went into that game 7-1 overall, 4-1 in the Big 12 conference. That's where inconsistencies lie. You a 7-1 team, and I granted Willie French is only in his second year, but you're and there's a lot that has to do with the loss, but still, you can't lose a game like that. You just can't lose to a team that is literally a bottom tier Big 12 team. That goes to show you that West Virginia did not give up. Rich Rod made some changes. He's playing some of his underclassmen guys that he's probably going to retain. And that's where I think Colorado should be right now. We'll get there in a second, but that's what I think Colorado should be. But West Virginia beat them, handled them. They just didn't. They really beat Houston. They really beat them, owned them at home. And it was an away game. Houston was at home and took that loss to West Virginia. See, I don't think that's happening in the Big Ten or the SEC. I just don't see that happening in those two conferences. But anyway, I don't want to disrespect this West Virginia and take from West Virginia and on this take, because this game was really good. I mean, in the first quarter, early on, they went no huddle. It was like 10 minutes and 10 minutes, 30, like probably 10 and a half minutes in the first quarter, into the first quarter, no huddle. The quarterback Fox, he has like 6 yards the game, and it was like a touchdown. He had a 6-yard touchdown, I believe it was, or something like that. Couldn't remember, but it was like 7-0 early on. Boom. But there was a couple penalties that led up to that offside penalty that was declined. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. They got up in there, right? And then later on in the first quarter, Houston couldn't get going. West Virginia's defense was just stout, stopping Connor Wegman early on. Connor Wegman, the stats is a little bit misleading because it was just what it was. But early on in that game, later on in that first quarter, again, they're in a no huddle. Once again, no huddle up, fast tempo, going at through Houston completely off. Rich Rod, they say that's what he does. He just gets up to the line. They just going and going and going on him. No huddle. I remember they would say it was like a West Coast type of offense, or however they used to say that. Anyway, the young Bowers, 23, and when I say young is because I don't think that Bowers for number 23 for West Virginia was a starting running back during the season. If he is, y'all forgive me. But anyway, he had a 21-yard game for a touchdown. 21 yards, busting it up. Let's go. Touchdown. West Virginia come in first later on with, you know what I'm saying, barely almost towards the end of the first quarter. That's when Houston shows up a little bit. Connor Wegman to Ethan Tanner, he caught a 3-yard pass. That was a touchdown right there. They went work down the field, caught a touchdown. Connor Wegman threw one in. Then again, you know what I'm saying, with about 12 minutes into the second quarter, again in that game, you got West Virginia going no huddle. Absolutely killed. That no huddle absolutely killed Houston. Just destroyed them. No, you know what I mean? Another play. They went in for a deep pass. Devon, 24-yard touchdown. They ran the ball, no huddle. Showed, dropped some in the box, went over the top. But no huddle. That no huddle really killed Houston. It really did. And West Virginia just now they're up 21-7. in the second quarter. Mid second quarter, that's when Houston just try to come back. They starting to come back, trying to get it in, they're trying to use a little bit of no huddle. They work their way downfield. Connor Wegman winds up scoring a touchdown. Again, then they go back into the shotgun with Connor Wegman. He's working his way downfield, threw a pass to Thomas for 9 yards for a touchdown. Boom. They getting it in. Now it's tied 21-21. So you go into the third quarter. After halftime, it's tied up 21-21. Anybody's game. Houston reset. Let's come. You think they're gonna come out with Willie French and do their thing? Didn't happen. West Virginia in the third quarter was able to kick a field goal, go up 24-21. Then Connor Wegman threw an interception. Mid, like what? It was, would you say mid third quarter, six something minutes left in the third quarter, do an interception. Boom. That happened. Pick six. Let's call it what it is. That man out now. West Virginia's up 31-21. Houston worked their way back downfield again. You know what I mean? Shook it off, got back up out there, went up 31-28 in the game. But now what's going on? Because now, now West Virginia back at it. Fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, they scored again, went up 38-28. Then with like 12 minutes, then late in the fourth, like 7 minutes, West Virginia scored again. I think at that time that was the Huber. He rushed in for a touchdown. They ran the ball on him without just no huddle. Now they're up 45-28. So at that point, I mean, the game is pretty much over, right? You up 45-28 with about 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. All they got to do is just, what you could play a prevent, right? I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But Houston was still able to get down, hurry up offense, score. Connor Wegman threw a pass to Thomas. They scored, right, very good. It was a pretty pass too. It really was. But then they wound up scoring. It was 45-35 at that point in time with like 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. From there, West Virginia was able to hold them off, and that was the end of the game. But when you look at that game, it really, to me, watching that game, when I watched it back, even after I replayed and watched it, the game, to me, it just, West Virginia, it just seemed like they had no doubt that they were going to beat Houston. The way that they played that game, they had no doubt that they were going to beat Houston. Like, it never was in their head that they were going to go down to Houston and lose to Houston in that game. Like, those guys came out there ready to play football. Dior Hubbard, he ran for 108 yards, had a touchdown. Sincere Bowers had 9 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. They held Dean Connors to 71 yards with no touchdowns. None of their running backs scored. Connor Wegman was the only guy to score. And, of course, the couple of sacks that he took, he finished the game with negative 27 yards, even with a touchdown, because of the sacks that he took in that game. By the way, the sacks, they were able to get to Connor Wegman 3 times, and they had 5 tackles for a loss in that game. And Connor and the Houston defense that we all have been respecting this past couple of weeks did not sack the young quarterback over there, the true freshman quarterback at that, and Scotty Fox Jr. for West Virginia. They didn't sack him at all, and the defense only was able to get 2 tackles for a loss. So what does that say? That game, West Virginia missed tackles. The run after the yak that the receivers were getting for West Virginia, the getting off their first contacts, it was just not a. Houston did not play like a Willie French coach football team. They just didn't. They really didn't. They gave it up. But if you look at the stats, you'll say Connor Wegman had a good game. He turned the ball over twice. Yeah. And it's easy to say that you can't do that, but he should never done that. But West Virginia done something that a lot of teams weren't able to do. But some people would even say that Connor Wegman struggled with that at Texas A&M, and that's why Texas A&M were the way they were. Some people will say that's his Achilles heel, but I think that's a lot of these quarterbacks. You mix it up. You load the line with 7 guys. You drop 4. into some kind of zone, and hopefully it confuses the offensive line just enough for one of your fast edges to get there to create a little bit of pressure, or your defensive tackle collapses the pocket just a little bit just to make them feel like he got some pressure while they're in their zone. They can't make the right read because they don't know where the ball's going, and they confuse them, and they were able to do that to Connor Wegman yesterday. They ratted him and shout out the Rich Rod and the staff over there at West Virginia, because that was a big win for them guys. Big win. But looking forward to Houston, excuse me. Looking forward at Houston's schedule, and seeing what Houston got going on right now. Now, do I think that they can bounce back? Absolutely, I do think that they can bounce back. They got UCF. They definitely should handle UCF. I don't know if they're really ranked number 22 in the number 22 in the country. Do I think they deserve to be there? Absolutely. The way that they play ball, the way that they have been playing ball up into that game, but losing to an unranked team like that, I just don't know if you just. I don't know at this point. I just don't know. But there's not plenty other teams in that, so I have to take a look at the longer list to see the teams that's honorable mention, if you will, out of the top 25 to really see if I would put a team above Houston there. But yeah, because I don't think that Houston can beat a Nebraska team. I don't think that Houston can beat Nebraska. No, that would be a very good ball game to watch, by the way, if we can. But yeah, I don't think that they could beat Houston. That's just me. I mean, Nebraska. I don't think Houston can beat Nebraska. But yeah, they got UCF. They should handle them. Even UCF being at home in the bounce house, I think that UCF are going to run into a very angry Houston team on Friday night, and that's going to be an ugly game. Northwestern playing USC. Northwestern coming off of a bye week. SC big win over Nebraska, huge win over Nebraska. Actually, that just wasn't just that was a huge win. So shout out to SC being able to go and prove a lot of naysayers wrong, and get into a tough bout with a Nebraska team at home. And playing in Nebraska is tough. Playing in Nebraska is tough. I've heard it a lot, and they were shut out in the first quarter. But other than that, they were able to continue the game and put some points on the board throughout the game. They, halftime, I think, what was the score at halftime in this game? I got to go back. I can't remember what the score was in halftime with the Nebraska game. The Nebraska game halftime, I believe they was down. Wasn't they? SC was down. Yeah, it was 14-6. And Nebraska was at home. They was able to come out, score, get a 2-point, and go up and tie the game up. And then they were able to score in the fourth and only hold Nebraska. But Dylan Raiola did go out in that game, and it made a huge difference. It did. It made a difference. Dylan Raiola not being in that game, because it may not always look pretty with Raiola, but Dylan Raiola has shown tremendous maturity this year, and in the way that he's playing ball. Even though he wasn't one of the top quarterbacks, I was have to put him at the top now because of the adversity that he's faced. He's really going through his reads, his progressions. He's really playing really mature ball. Dylan Raiola next year is going to be definitely one of my top quarterbacks in the country, and I can't wait to look for. Hopefully, that injury isn't too bad to where he's able to come out next week and play football, because I want to see what he's looking like. My Via being a veteran, he had a horrible game. Horrible. It was a bad game, and I don't think that you could have a bad game like that. Jaden Maivia, the decision making he made, he was 9 for 23 in the game. Miller King, Emmett Johnson had a great game for Nebraska. King Miller had a good game for SC. And the run game was pretty much what helped those guys, but neither one quarterbacks were able to pass on each other's defense. It was a very well matched game for both teams. I think the matchup was really good. SC not being able to put too much pressure on a quarterback and get to him as far as sacks, but they were able to give Nebraska some different looks and cause some confusion. And but I still want to say that still, even with that, Raiola's mature. I ain't say that he's all the way there, but yeah, by next season, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's definitely going to have it together because he's working on some things, and you can tell by the way he plays. But Nebraska's defense was able to get there more. They were able to actually turn some of that pressures into sacks, and that's what they did. They were able to get there. It was a good game, very good game. 21-17 in that game. Nebraska lost at home. That was a tough one. SC, a lot of people, me myself, I have a lot of good respect for SC and what SC is doing out there because the way that because they're playing physical football, they really are. And I know you normally see this out of a Lincoln Riley team, and a lot of Southern Cal fans are used to seeing Southern Cal be a juggernaut, and eventually I think they'll get there. But in this game, I gotta say that it was the respect um for this team for me being in the Big Ten. They're 4-1, they're 6-2 overall. Um, and every game that they lost to a good Notre Dame team. I don't think that they should have lost to Notre Dame, but they just couldn't stop the run with those two monster running backs that were early on in the season, very healthy. Um, and Maivia has to play a better game. He has to play a better game because he got the weapons on the outside. There's no reason why he should be 9 for 23 with 100 yards. As he bombs over Baghdad, you got one of the best receivers in the country, and Malachi Lemon, and you got to use him. You know what I mean? Lemon is no limit. And that's just what I gotta say. The teams are most definitely, when you see him on film, he definitely pops on film. He's definitely somebody that the defensive coordinator has to scheme to stop for SC. And there's other weapons besides him, but even still, with trying to scheme around and stop him, bracket him or whatever, and know where he's at on the field at all times. Still got to find a way to get the ball in his hands, whether that's some wide receiver screens, some tunnel screens, some jet motion sweeps. Yeah, you gotta get him the ball because he's too dynamic not to really get the ball in his hands. Like when he does not have the ball in his hands, it can lead for a long day. But they missed him, and you know what I'm saying. Like you got to get him going. You can't have the 2 touches in a game for 18 yards. You gotta have more. Got to have more. And the other guys, I think that can step up. There's other guys that can absolutely step up. Jacoby Lane, and Hines. They got guys that can play at receiver. So I would like to see them get more touches. Definitely Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon. Definitely got to get more touches. Good game by SC. But what we on? Yeah, I think SC gets this game at home. Northwestern. This is going to be another tough one. They are at home. They do have the advantage of being at home for this one. So hopefully they're a little bit more comfortable Friday night. But Northwestern and that David Braun team is definitely going to bring it. They're definitely going to be physical at the point of attack in those trenches. So they better be ready for that. I know they just got off a tough one with Nebraska. This is probably going to be similar to those guys. They're going to try to establish the run, go over the top. But SC should win this game. They got a little bit more talent and they got a little bit more speed than Northwestern does, just a little bit more. And but Preston Stone being our quarterback is inconsistencies, and that's why I give Northwestern a chance to maybe try upset because Stone being there. This 2 years ago, Preston Stone was one of the best quarterbacks in college football when he was down at SMU before he tanked just last year and got replaced by Kevin Jennings. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the country at SMU. That let's not forget that. That's still in him. That's still that guy. And I think David Braun is trying to get that back out of Preston Stone. So we'll see what happens, right? Tulane playing number 25 Memphis. Tulane just lost the game. And I don't know if they're going to pose a challenge to Memphis. Memphis should win that football game versus Tulane. They absolutely have no reason in the world to lose this game versus Tulane. There's no way. Tulane does have Jake Ratzliff. Tulane does have a good football team, but Tulane just took a L inconsistencies. We seen in these conferences. I didn't think Memphis should have been in having a chance to be in the top G5 conference, top guy. If they win out, I guess they'll get that 12th seed. But losing at UAB, anything's possible. And Tulane is way better than UAB. I thought that SF USF was better. South Florida was better than UAB, but they lost to Memphis. Memphis picked up after that UAB loss, and they were able to beat South Florida. So you never really know what you're going to get out of this conference. But I think Tulane coming off of a loss the way that they did and losing that game in the fashion they lost versus UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners, they put it on them. They tried to go out there, and that's what I walked through that game, and they put it on them. They just did. But by 21, they 21 them. You know what I mean? Pass the sticks. They had to pass the sticks on them. And heavy favorites in that game, even with San Antonio being at home. The Roadrunners, shout out to them, but them coming off that loss, I think it's going to be a tough game. It should be a good one for the American Athletic Conference. But Memphis got to handle business, but so doesn't Tulane. So the playoffs start now. Tulane got to get this dub. They got it to Tulane. This game is just important as Tulane as it is to Memphis. And it's about to sound crazy what I'm about to say, because obviously Tulane wasn't consistent because they just lost to Texas San Antonio, even though I do think that the Roadrunners are usually a well-coached football team in American Athletic Conference. But Tulane to me is a complete team. Not to say that Memphis isn't a complete team. I think Memphis, you can get underneath their skin and make them commit some dumb penalties. You know what I mean? And Tulane is more of a, I don't know. It seems like a more prestigious program, and I'm not saying that Memphis isn't, but Tulane is there. Jake Ratzliff at quarterback. It's going to be a tough game, but you want to say that Memphis got to handle business, because at this point in time, that you got to handle business. You got to, because I don't think a 2-loss American Athletic team gets into the college football playoff. I just don't think so. So this is Tulane's chance, and in this playoff mode for them, do or die playoff mode for Memphis. That should be a very good game at Friday, American Athletic game. So hopefully people's watching that, because that should be a very good game between Tulane and Memphis, because playoff implications definitely on the line for a lot of teams, but definitely for them guys. All right, so tough pick for me. Georgia at Mississippi State. Mississippi State just coming off a huge victory versus Arkansas, upsetting them. And in that Arkansas game too, I want to say that them guys was that game was a really odd game when it came to like the third quarter, right? Because the third quarter to me, I was kind of lost. It was penalties, and I'm like, what's going on here in this game, right? I can't remember what Talon Green finished with. And as soon as I get some of these up, I'll take a look and I'll tell you guys. But let me go ahead and get this. So in the third quarter of that game, with like 6 minutes left, it was about 6 minutes and 6 minutes 18 seconds in the third quarter. The Razorbacks, they go up 2 scores. They go up about 14 points. It was 28-14, and the third quarter was 6 minutes and 18 seconds left, right? There was some little scrum was going on the field. It gave them a penalty, right? So now they got to move back, and they're doing this on the opposing kickoff. Then Bobby Petrino, he's snapping out. He's going crazy, penalty. So now they got to kick from their own 10-yard line, right? Their own 10-yard line. They kick it off. You know what I mean? Um, they kick it off. Of course, it's a short field because they're kicking from their own 10-yard line in the third quarter. Get a good run back. They're about at their 40. Now we're talking about um 5 minutes, about 5 minutes, 32 seconds in the third quarter. Number 3, Worth the third for Arkansas, got disqualified for targeting for a hit on a quarterback that came in the game, Kamario Taylor. He gets disqualified, and Kamario Taylor is running as if a running back. He's not a defenseless player running between tackles, and they give Worth the third for Arkansas a disqualification for targeting. This targeting thing has always been an issue. It's a call that I think and just disqualifying a player, I think they need to remove that. The 15-yard penalty, keep it the NFL, but yeah, and review it. Have a chance to review it before you disqualify a player. You know what I'm saying? After the game, call the team immediately, the referees or the officials, however they do that, and then let them know if they're going to be out for a half, because just disqualifying somebody from a game to me is like crazy. It just is, because now you're disqualifying somebody from a game that could have been an impact player or somebody who was really helping that team get busy. And now it doesn't happen. Like, and I don't think that it should happen like that at all. But yeah, that game was crazy. The game was absolutely crazy. It just was, man. And shout out to most definitely shout out to Arkansas. And that's what happened. So now that they got 15 more yards. Because during the kickoff, right, in the third quarter, so he got a hit out of bounds. He's running out of bounds to the 40. Somebody hits him late out of bounds. That adds 15 more yards until he gets to the 40. That adds 15 more. So now they're already in plus territory. Then number 3, Worth, with 5 minutes and 32 seconds in the third quarter, he gets hit again on the running. He was like a running back. The quarterback was Kamario Taylor. That's 15 more yards. So now it just, the field position totally switches. Short field for Mississippi State to do their thing. Kamario Taylor, he came in for those couple of plays. Absolutely, to me. He was the unsung hero of this game, if you ask me. Kamario Taylor, just those little 5 passes that he threw in the game, 40 yards, 1 touchdown, ran one in. He had 6 yards for 55 yards, 1 touchdown, 40 yards through the air and a touchdown. He absolutely had he put up 2 touchdowns, right? So like I just said, they was down. What I just said, they was down 14 points and 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Kamario Taylor comes in, he evens it up for me, right? It didn't work out exactly like that, but he evens it up. I think that he was the unsung hero. He changed the trajectory of the game for me. Then they switched to Blake Shapen in the third quarter. Towards the end of the third quarter, with like 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, right before, I guess, 2 minutes or whatever, and he threw a pick. It wasn't his fault. He threw the ball to a guy. It bounced right off him. Perfect throw, if you ask me. You got to catch that. Some people say it was maybe high. It's the rule is, and it's always been street ball, 2-hand touch. If it hits your hands, you're supposed to catch it, right? And that's what's supposed to happen. He didn't catch the ball, tipped it, interception. Just crazy. Then they got running in. So the game, right? The game really came down to running into the kicker. And 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. I mean, the fourth quarter, 5 minutes to go in the game in the fourth quarter. I'm trying to exactly pinpoint this down. Forgive me for that. But they ran into the kicker, and Mississippi State gets another try at a field goal. And you can't make that mistake. You can't make those. You just can't make that. And that is going to hurt Arkansas. They shot themselves in the foot this game, the whole entire game, playing undisciplined football. You're not going to win games like that. And for Bobby Petrino to have a team to be in the fourth quarter with like 4 minutes to go in the game, to have 17 penalties for almost 200 yards. At this point in time in the game, they had about 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They had 17 penalties for 193 yards. There's no way you can win a football game like that at all. You can't. And that's a Bobby Petrino team. And another thing was, and I was hoping that Tylen Green was going to help, but this is where he has to work on his game. His post snap reads, they were the zone. They got to the first of all, the Arkansas offensive line with the game on the line, 3 timeouts, 48 seconds on the clock. You got to be able to move the ball down the field with the weapon that you got, and Tylen Green, the dual threat quarterback that he is, and the way that man, oh my goodness, Raylan Sharp had a great game. He had a great game, but CJ Brown, I think, was coming down the seam. Either him or Omega Blake, one of them was coming down the hashes in the fourth quarter. It was only Mississippi State was only rushing 3 at this point in time, dropping into I think they were going into quarters coverage. Shout out to Coach JB, but I really think they were dropping into quarters coverage. I could be wrong, but the hash, you got to hit that hash at that point. I get it. You're like, what were you playing for, Talent? Like at that point, like, were you playing for your team? Because he took the underneath route, which was cool. But at this point in time, the game is on the line. I gotta give my receiver a chance. Worst case scenario, give him a playable ball. You're gonna get a pass interference call, spot foul. Let me get my guys down there. You know what I'm saying? Get the pass interference call. Let's start off on some new downs. I got 3 timeouts, and they took no deep shots. I was confused about that. Like, where's the deep shots? Tylen Green has an arm. Maybe not that accurate, but let me lob something up there. You got some guys that can go and get it, right? At that point in time, I just think that Rylan Sharp was just having a good game. Number 6 for Arkansas. I think he had a good game. He didn't have a touchdown, but he had 5 catches for like 84 yards in the game. And I thought that he had a good game, and they didn't take any deep shots. Had a guy right down the seams. I can't remember what receiver it was, but I want to say it was CJ Brown. Right down the hashes, right down the hash, right on the I can't remember if was it the field side or bounce side. I can't remember, but it was the right down the hash. Right down the hash, man. And he did not hit him. He didn't try to attack that. He couldn't see it. He couldn't see it. Instead, he threw the ball away. And I'm like, give him a playable ball. I mean, he had him. He had him. You make a nice layered throw. You got the arm to do it. You got the arm strength to do it. Tylen Green, like at that point, you know what I mean? You got to try to make those throws. You got to, because your size, his athletic ability is going to get him NFL looks. But I think at this point they want to see other things with him, and it didn't happen like that, man. It just didn't. I was shocked. Did not see him take that chance and take that shot. And also the offensive line of Arkansas to let 3 guys get back there and sack your quarterback at the end of the game and put pressure on. Even though they blitzed, I think it was a corner. They blitz came with a corner blitz, disguised it. But before that, and they dialed that up perfectly. Shout out to the Mississippi State. Shout out to Elko and those guys, because they dialed that blitz up just perfectly and timed that right to send that guy and on that spy, the spy they had. But they were only rushing 3. They were only rushing 3, dropping all 8 guys, and it caused a lot of confusion for Tylen Green, and says a lot, and to where I'm talking about, what I always talk about with quarterbacks not being developed the right way in this college football game. These guys are super athletic, good arms, but they're not being developed. And even in the Bobby Petrino offense, but even though Bobby Petrino's been an OC, I still think Tylen Green, he has a lot to work on. I think he was really, really raw when Bobby got him, and I do think that Bobby did some things with him. But still, like, he was 19 for 31 in the game, 194 yards, 1 touchdown. Blake Shapen was 16 for 28, got hurt in some point in the game, had an interception that shouldn't have been his, had 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a great game. Shout out to him because he played good, but who was who made the play of the game for them? I think it was number 0. Brennan Thompson, hell of a fourth quarter catch, back shoulder throw. Blake Shapen slid, caught the ball. Great play, man. Got him downfield, and they were able to get up in there, man. Mississippi State's been playing tough football. Well-deserved win. First SEC win for them. They're 1-4 in the conference, 5-4 overall. Very, very, very tough football team. Almost beat Texas. Almost got over a lot. Almost got the Gators. They could very easily right now be two more wins, and they could easily be 2-2 in the SEC right now, and sitting at 6-2 right now. Right, 7-2, maybe sitting at 7-2, 2-2 in the SEC right now. Mississippi State could be. So shout out to the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Good game, man. Great game. I enjoyed watching that game. It was a good bout. Really did. So moving on to the next game. We about an hour up into this thing, but even still, Georgia played a great game. Oh man, did they play? They played so good against the Gators. They played the Gators, right? Yeah, they played the Gators. They played a great game against the Gators. You gotta forgive me, man. So much stuff going on. Anyway, great game versus the Gators, man. Great game. They played those guys, you know what I mean, tough, and they've always played tough. They're resilient. Shout out to Florida, and that staff with being able to have those guys ready to go out there and play this Georgia team. That's the Florida team that we expected to see, and they're playing like that. Even though they're 3-5 and 2-3 in the SEC, they got by far the toughest schedule in America, probably. A lot of people will say that. They lost to Georgia by 4 points. And they were 8, and they got outscored in the second half. They lost the second half. They lost the second half of that football game, man. Halftime it was 10-0. It was 10-0. They lost the second half of that football game, and that's what it is. And Kirby's, they always come out and they adjust well. Well, so did Florida. Florida adjusted well too in this game. I thought that DJ Lagway, I thought that he played a better game. And if he can manage the games in this manner and just get those guys a chance, I think that it is good. And he ran a little bit more too. He used his legs in this game, and he got comfortable in this Georgia game. You know what I mean? And if he plays like that and manages the game, manages his runs, know when to and when not to, and play smart ball the way that he did, because he didn't throw a pick. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that every pass or he didn't miss guys, but still, because we know he did. But not turning the ball over is a huge thing, right? And he was 15 for 24 in the game, 166 yards, had a touchdown, didn't throw a pick. Gunnar Stockton did throw a pick, but he had 2 touchdowns. He was 20 for 29, 223 yards. Thought he had a good game. Zachariah Branch just went off untamed. So did Eugene Wilson. He was untamed in this game. Zachariah Branch was 10 catches for 112 yards, no touchdowns. But that's what we were kind of expecting out of Zachariah Branch. And showing up this late, I don't care what time he showed up, but he showed up in this game enough. And that's what they need out of him hugely. Big weapon for Georgia moving forward. I think he makes that offense dangerous and opens up a lot more for Dylan Bell and Noah Thomas and those guys. I think he opens up a lot more for those guys. Nate Frazier, he balled out. I think he had some carries in this game that came down to it. But Chauncey Bowens punching it in and running the rock, very tough runs. Jaden Ball had some tough runs for Georgia. It was just a nice old school physical football game. I really enjoyed watching this Georgia and Florida game and checking it out and looking at it and looking back at Jordan Castell, the way that he was playing ball defensively for number 14 for I can't remember, is he a corner or linebacker? But the linebacker, fast guy though, move around really well back there. Um, was in on a lot of things. He was in and played very well, and gotta give it to him. Gotta give it to him, man. Great game. I think he stood out for me. But Georgia, they kept Lagway clean for the most part. Some of those scrambles, I think he probably would have got to him, but they kept him clean. Um, really did really well against that the Florida offensive line. I think did a good job. When your quarterback don't get sacked, that's a good job. Period. So that's a good job right there. Did very well against Georgia's rush, and I think that's what you want to see out of Florida moving forward. So that's promising for them. Can they retain a lot of those guys? Don't know. Transfer portal is, I think, it's open now, um, or it's going to open here in a couple of days, something like that. But it was a good game, good bout. Uh, and then the defense for Florida showed up a little bit, got a little bit, got Gunnar Stockton off his mark a little bit, but they're a resilient team. One of the better teams in this game, one of the better games I seen yesterday out of top teams. And really didn't really count for too much, but it was a good game. All right. And but I do think that Georgia handles that. Georgia beats Mississippi State at Mississippi State. I want to see Mississippi State's toughness if they come out and play tough against Georgia and they just don't roll over. But I think Georgia wins that game. The game of the week probably next week will probably be I'm not sure, but Penn State definitely got the talent to beat Indiana. The pros and problems for Indiana, but Indiana they we'll talk about that in a second. But BYU in that Texas game, that BYU and Texas game is important for the Big 12. The way that the Big 12 is taking shape because Cincinnati lost last night to Utah, boat race by them. So now this game for BYU and Texas Tech is what it comes down to. And I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but Texas Tech manhandled Kansas, and Kansas State had been rolling up to this point on a win streak, had a nice little win streak going, and Texas Tech came and put a halt to that. Texas Tech should have never lost to Arizona State. However, they did. Can't take that back, but they really showed them being the team that I thought would not lose a game in the Big 12. And now they got a team at home, and now they're going to play a team at home like BYU. And BYU, I think BYU's coming off a bye, aren't they? Who did BYU play this week? I think they had a bye, right? Oh, maybe yeah. BYU's on a bye week, so they got a bye week. Not to say that Texas Tech thing, because they did what they wanted to do in this game. Even Brendan Morton turning the ball over. They got Avery Johnson to turn the ball over. Had him looking straight elementary, like all the way reverting back to like looking like a freshman on the field. Didn't even look close. Didn't even look close at all. Like to being a quarterback who has been around and in this system. Not at all. This is the guy that they decide to move on with from that's from Will Howard. Will Howard wound up going to Ohio State for Avery Johnson. Just to make that clear to a lot of guys and a lot of people out there. But Avery Johnson he was 16 for 33, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and you're running the games. I mean, I think this game though, regardless, he had 15 carries for 88 yards. He was the leading rusher for 2 touchdowns. So Avery Johnson was doing everything he could to keep Kansas State in this game. I will say that he did everything he could to try to keep his team in the game. He balled out, scored the only touchdowns in this game, rushing them in and throwing one. So to Oakley, his tight end. So we gotta give Avery Johnson his just due. I don't want to give, take anything from him in saying that he can't play. But he needs a ton of help there. And facing a team like Texas Tech and getting the looks that he got, the blitzes, is experience for him because you got Jacoby Williams and Cameron Dickey running on you like the way that they did on that defense, wearing that defense down, and Brendan Morton able to connect with Caleb Douglas. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. Um, Played a good game too, by the way. Douglas had a good game in this game. Very good game, by the way. Real good one. And that defense really, and Texas Tech defense, they got that Avery Johnson a couple times, but they stopped a bunch of stuff behind the line, bunch of stuff. Just they were active, picks. It was just getting after it, man. They really was. They got after him. The guy to pick off him, couple picks. Like I said, um, the Texas Tech taking on BYU now. BYU coming off the bad, Texas Tech being at home. You want to roll with Texas Tech and say that Texas Tech, like I said, I think they would be surprised. I think this is a close one. But I do think that Texas Tech is able to squeak out this win. I do think so. I think that this is really the game that should be the Big 12 championship game, right? Still could wind up being right. I'm not sure if that works like that. I mean, because if the Texas Tech beats BYU and then BYU wins out the rest of their games, I still think that these two can meet up for the Big 12 championship. So could be a rematch here. But I do think Texas Tech being at home in college football, it matters a lot. It should matter a lot. It really should. But with a team like Texas Tech and BYU going there, BYU was at home. I'd be probably leaning towards BYU, to be honest, even though BYU is undefeated. But Texas Tech, they got some problems. Brendan Morton is healthy. He makes a huge difference of being healthy on the field. With that offense, Will Hammond is out for the season, I believe. But he makes a huge difference. Huge difference. I think he'll be a little bit more healthier with another weeks of getting a proper rest and the proper treatments that he'll need going to BYU. So all the way running Texas Tech team has no business losing to BYU in the freshman. Barry Bachmeier showed that he's just not the average freshman quarterback. He's very mature. He's going to do everything he needs to do in managing that offense, and he's going to run the ball. BYU's offensive line is going lean, but Texas Tech in a close one. They both can score. I will say that they both can score. They both will. So, but I think Texas Tech gets this one at home, the close one, by like 2. You know what I mean? Come down to a field goal at last second or something, like maybe even an overtime game. But Texas Tech, Indiana and Penn State. This a bit of a I thought it was a lot of people said it was going to be close for Ohio State. I think it's going to probably be the same way for Indiana. I think Penn State you're going to pose some problems for Indiana. This is a Happy Valley. It was different from Ohio State playing Penn State because they didn't have to go in a Happy Valley and play Penn State. They got to play them in a shoe and a blackout. So, and I'm not saying that they would have lost Penn State, no, but it's different. And you got 2 great receivers. Elijah Surratt seemed to have some hamstring problems, and not to say that Omar Cooper can't get it done and be the leader, but they did get some guys to step up in the game. Indiana versus Maryland, when they like boat race them. I don't know why a lot of people kept saying that game was going to be close. And I think a lot of it was because of the respect from Mike Locksley. But halftime, the game was almost out of hand, 20-0, 20-3 halftime. And after that, I mean, in the second half, they only allowed them to score 10 points, 7 points in the whole second half, but they outscored them in the second half. I think 35 to 7 in the second half of this football game. So, um, and that's what Indiana can do. They will do that to you. But what scares me a little bit is that Fernando Mendoza throwing the ball. He can throw a pick. Um, and that's what scares me a little bit with this Penn State team. I mean, with Fernando Mendoza, but I mean, that's just gonna happen when you got a guy that's doing it like that, right? Um, 14 for 21 in the game. Even his brother got in there, had two passes for 20 yards, threw a touchdown. Malik Washington, a true freshman quarterback from Mike Loxley, he was 16 for 31, 242 yards, had a touchdown and two picks. Kalen Blackwood ran all on them. Roman Hemby got his just due with 88 yards and a touchdown. Kobe Martin had 80 yards and a touchdown. They had three backs almost over 100 yards on Maryland, so they really leaned on them in the trenches. I think they getting a little bit banged up, Indiana there, but it seemed like their depth is showing up because I can't remember if their middle linebacker is going to be out. So their middle linebacker, the captain of the defense, can't really remember his name. What number? He got number 4. I want to say he got number 4. Because who's taking over for him is Isaiah Jones has taken over for him. Don't know if they're going to have their starting middle linebacker going up against Penn State, but I think he needs to be there. I think he makes a big difference, even though Isaiah Jones is good and he's proven to step up when they need him, number 46 for that defense. But so little bit of banged up in the trenches too. Seeing some bumps and bruises, and that's bound to happen this time of year. Getting into the nitty gritty. But Surratt, I don't know if Surratt's going to be hurt or not. I have to pay attention to that throughout the week. Not to say that that's going to make all the difference in this Penn State game, because I don't think that it is. Charlie Becker, number 80, came in for the hurt Elijah Surratt, and he was able to get a catch for 52 yards in the game. Omar Cooper stepped up, and he led the team and led that receiving core down the line. So I believe that that's going to happen, and that's good. So yeah, we'll see what happens in this Penn State game. Penn State, they couldn't hang with Ohio State, but yeah, Indiana. I don't know why they thought Indiana was gonna lose. Don't know why. I'm not sure why you think Indiana was gonna lose that game, or that game was gonna be close. That Maryland was gonna cause problems. They're close. Mike Loxley's team is close, but they gotta be closer, and they gotta be there. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens with them. They gotta be closer. See where they're there. All right. Yeah, Penn State. They just Penn State. I mean, they lost to Ohio State 14-38. And I don't think that. Look, at halftime, it was a close game. It was a close game halftime. It really was, 17-14 all. Ohio State came on the second half. Matt Patricia's defense absolutely did their job, shut them down. 14 point. I mean, look, you got to kind of, when you got Katron Allen and Singleton back there, you got to say, like, okay, all you got to do is kind of Gronkmeyer. You got to kind of, manage the offense a little bit, right? And get those guys close enough to punch in a touchdown. Yeah, I get that, right? But and that's pretty much all you really have to do, right? That's pretty much all you got to do, because you got two good backs like that, right? Now that the offense, the trenches is still there, but look, I mean, the 14 points to me, I think was a little bit much in the way that they did it going into halftime, 17-14. Think they should have been able to put up more points. Billy Jackson ran for over 100 yards in this game. CJ Donaldson, he's been kind of absent. So, I mean, Penn State's rush defense did that, but Ohio State can't run the ball as well as Indiana could, which is crazy to say. So, but they don't, but Indiana don't have Cornell Tate, Brian Ennis, and Jeremiah Smith, but they got their own version of that, right? And I think that it's going to bode well for them, because I still think that Ohio State is the best team because they're that defense with Matt Patricia, what they're able to do, and the way that they disguise and cause so much problems, man. They just do it, man. But Julian Sain is playing amazing football, by the way, for Ohio State. I must say, yes, I'll get to him, but Penn State, man, they, I think they have that energy of being home at Happy Valley, and Indiana's going to have to fight through that. But I think that they went on the road Oregon game. If they was able to survive Oregon on the road, I think that they got a taste of that environment, and they should be able to go in there and play sound football in Happy Valley, right? I think that they should be able to do that and pull out a good win, right? Because regardless of record, I still think that this is a good win for Indiana because of the talent that Penn State has. Like, Penn State's record's not good. That doesn't mean that Penn State does not have the talent they have. That is a very talented football team still. Regardless, they still got a lot of guys on that football team, and I don't think that we can overlook that. They got Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton was one of the top running back tandems in college football last year. This year, receiving, they went and added Trevor Pena from Syracuse, was one of the top receivers in the ACC last year. Karen Hudson, Kobe Howard, they grabbed him. So like they got some guys like, and on the offensively. Do they got a quarterback that can get it? That's the problem, I think, is with Penn State, right? I mean, right now they're relying on a freshman, Ethan Grunkmeyer, with 19 for 2,845 yards. And that's really never been part of their game, right? But they still got those guys. And defensively, like, we can't forget defensively, like, yeah, Penn State still got those guys. They weren't able to, and they weren't able to get to the quarterback of Ohio State, but Ohio State's defense is way different. Like, they are, but Penn State still got some guys back there, man. So let's not forget that they got some talent on that team. Don't just, you know what I mean? So I still think that even if Indiana, um, but this is a bit of a track game to me. It is. So it's going to cause some problems. We'll see what Indiana got. We'll really be able to judge them off. They should beat Penn State, though. They should beat them. Should beat them. Citadel, Ole Miss, that's an automatic win for them, right? But like I explained earlier, that's and why they're playing that team, and why do I think that does not matter that much? Because Ole Miss is Ole Miss. I mean, they just took care of business versus South Carolina. They scored in every single quarter, regardless of field goal, whatever. They scored in every quarter. Lane Kiffin has that team at Ole Miss playing with their hair on fire. Only losses to a Georgia team, highly respected Kirby Smart team, that you could absolutely sit here and say that they could have beat Georgia. Yeah, they could have. That maybe there'd be a rematch in that SEC championship. We don't know. We just don't know, but we will figure out what's going on, right? Because I like the play of Trinidad Chambliss. I don't think he had a great game yesterday, none whatsoever, but they were able to run the ball on this team when Just Duke came in, right? Keywan Lacey, we got busy in this game. 167 yards and a touchdown, but Chambliss was able to do his thing too, his dual threat thing. Dude can't turn the ball over at all. You can't do that, but that defense was able to, cause some problems for Lenore Sellers for sure. Got to him 6 times in the game. 6 times. Show him different things, blitzed them, put the blitz on them, put different coverages on them, which I didn't think that was possible. But like I said, when these NFL prospect quarterbacks, you want to see that out of those guys. And when you get that when you got an NFL prospect like Lenore Sellers and want to be drafted, and people saying, yeah, his athletic ability and his size will get him there. But when you getting blitz put on you like that pressure is going to be there regardless in the NFL. It's even going to be worse because now they're going to be able to generate pressure with just 4 guys, and you're going to have a guy, 2 ends that's absolutely either super strong, but that it's going to be there. You get a certain amount of time to make the right decision and go through your reads. The time that you're getting in college with a blitz coming at you is the time that you're going to have in the NFL. The only difference is in college, you got to be able to identify the open receiver because somebody's always open. Somebody's always open in college football. They're always open. They're always open, right? And you got to be able to connect and hit somebody. You can't go 16 for 30, 180 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions in a game like an Ole Miss game, and then not say that because he is an NFL prospect. His dual threat ability, um, the size of this guy, how big he is, and how fast he is, and his arm. But there's a ton Lenore Sellers has to work on. I would definitely love to see Lenore Sellers come back for another year. Get with one of these top teams who's developing quarterbacks. Landing in Oregon, Kiffin. That's a quarterback friendly offense. He'll learn a lot in that offense. Tennessee with Heupel, he'll learn a lot in that offense. Indiana with Kurt Signotti, he'll learn a lot with Signotti too. Like, he just would in those systems, and he needs another year. And I think his stock would go up. He does not have to go, but a lot of people are saying he's going to come out this year, and I know for a fact that Tyler Green doesn't have a choice to come out, but I think Lenore Sellers should stay another year. He's going to get a bag to come back. Somebody's definitely going to want his talents, his size on one of these big time coaches is going to want his size. The next head coach at LSU may even want him. Penn State. Somebody's going to be wanting Lenore Sellers. Penn State most definitely can use Lenore Sellers. He definitely changes that program tremendously. I just think that he has to get out of that Shane Beamer system. I just think so. I mean, not to say that Shane Beamer ain't good, but I'm just saying that because Shane Beamer is good, but you see what Rattler's doing versus what other guys are doing and what other guys are learning. Like you might even want to think about getting with Lincoln. Think about getting with Lincoln at SC, Lenore's. I think that'd be a great fit for Lenore's. Going to Southern California. Because technically I still think he got 2 more years. I still think that Lenore Sellers may have 2 years left. I could be wrong, but I think he may still have a year or 2 years left because I don't know what this COVID year or whatever, but at least it's your last year, get with somebody like Lincoln Riley and go learn a ton. I even think Notre Dame is teaching some things. And Manny Diaz might be. I mean, look at what Darren Mensah came in from Tulane, knowing what he's doing, but he's picking up where he left off. Like I think they got some things going on at Duke. It's all about going to the right place and just and getting what you need. And I think South Carolina just ain't that for Lenore's. I just don't think so. And moving all the time ain't right, but you got to move to the right place. Right, move to the right place, and it's not all about just winning. So that's why I mentioned somebody like Duke, because it's not about just winning, right? It's about getting the necessary tools for the next level because he has everything that's already getting him looked at in the next level. Period. So, why not just capitalize on that and just move on, and go to a team that's going to get you ready for the next level, right? And go to a head coach that's going to get you there. But shout out to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, man, because he's doing a fantastic job. I think that the 2 quarterbacks that he got, 2 young guys, he's going to run it back. Ole Miss is going to be a problem. I think they did very well in this game defensively. That defense really showed me something, and I was surprised to see what that defense had to pop up like that, because now that defense is really starting to show up as time goes on throughout this throughout this season. I think they only what total yards in the game. I mean, they had 180 passing and they had 50 yards rushing. Because you got to manage the sacks, right? Got to manage the sack yards. So we total that up. That's 50 yards rushing for South Carolina and 180 yards passing. So less than 250 total yards on that Ole Miss defense. South Carolina with a dual threat quarterback like Norris Sellers. I mean, granted, Nick Harbor, fast guy. He still got in the end zones. He's a problem. But what? Ain't no way. There's no way, right? There's just no way. There's not. I mean, they seem to be getting better as this year is going on. They're progressing most definitely, and they're peaking at the right time. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to Ole Miss, man. Shout out to them. Ohio State taking on Purdue. Purdue play. They play Michigan tough. I mean, you got a team mixed up with some veteran guys at Purdue. They played Michigan really well in that game. I thought that Michigan should have put it on them, but I guess Purdue's been rising quietly, sitting quietly in the back, and really getting some things. But you do got a true freshman quarterback, and I'm not just blaming that because halftime the game was only 14-7 with Michigan. Michigan definitely needs quarterbacks. Justice Haynes from Alabama, the transfer from Alabama. John, excuse me. Not Justice Haynes. Excuse me. I'm talking about somebody else. Jordan Marshall absolutely saved that game. He saved that game he saved it for Michigan. He did everything. He did. I mean, he didn't do. He had 25 carries for three tutties. He did everything. Bryce Underwood was 13 for 22, 145 yards, and he threw a pick. Now, is it like but receivers for Michigan, like who is the receiver? At this, I mean, you being 7-2, 5-1 in the Big Ten, I get it. You're like, we can't put these freshman quarterback, but the receivers out there, you got to, because I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, what is you got to at this point. I mean, Andrew Marsh is a freshman, true freshman from Texas, and he was one of your most productive receivers for Michigan. You know what I mean? Like what are we talking about? Like, you got to play these guys, man. You gotta play those young guys, man. Channing Goodwin, I don't from Charlotte, he out of Charlotte. I don't know what I don't know what's going on in Michigan in the receiving core. I don't know. I still think that it needs some work. I think somebody really needs to step up and get it done, man. I think they got the talent. I don't know why they can't get it done. We know Bryce Underwood got the arm, they got the talent to do it. We know Michigan's defense, they can run the ball, and that defense is just untamed, and we know that defense is going to bring it. Because I really like number 9, Cameron Brink. Is that it, or is it 0? I can't remember which guy it is. On the defense, he be rushing big dude, man. I like him, man. I think it's number 9 or the number 9 on the defense. Anyway, they got a good team. They got a good team. They got a good defense. I think for Michigan, young, and they showing up, but you gotta play ball and playing. And they played Purdue. Purdue gave them everything they asked for, bro. And look, ain't no such thing as a moral victory, but I guess it was for Purdue. Michigan got the win 21-16. Not pretty, but they still getting the dubs. It ain't got to be pretty. It just got to be a W, right? And I think that if you living on that, that's cool. They got to win 7-2 overall, 5-1 in the Big Ten, still in the race, still alive. Shout out to Michigan. But Ohio State definitely takes care of the business versus Purdue. Most definitely. Syracuse playing Miami. Yes, the Cuse got beat by NC handily. I think North Carolina, they just played bully ball. By the way, shout out to Bill Belichick and on getting it done, because North Carolina is actually getting it done. They really are. I mean, you look at it, they really are getting it done. They're not out here just out for play. They're actually playing good football. Um and that's all you really can ask for as a North Carolina fan. Um, they're playing ball as moving forward, and you're seeing the way that Bill Belichick wants to run a team, and that's good, right? The way that he wants to build it, and the way that they played Syracuse, even though it was tough. I like the game. I like the way that with the things that I saw in that game. Um, Syracuse, Fran Brown's team, at losing all the pieces that he lost. I wish he was able to retain a lot of those guys. I wish Trevor Payne, I mean, the bag, you know what I mean, in Syracuse. I know it ain't gonna be huge, but man, it was just better off staying in Syracuse, because now you went to Penn State, a very pro run first type of offense, and just shot his draft stock all the way down. If he was at Syracuse, he would be getting a lot of touches now. With the season be where it's at, I don't know. You know what I mean? But they lost a lot of guys. They go chasing the bag, and Miami coming off that tough loss, but yeah, they lost that game, right? But Miami losing the game, that's something we gotta talk about, because I do think that Miami beat Syracuse, but Miami losing to SMU, and I said this, and I talked about it last week. You can go back and look at the last week recap show that I did. Um, Miami has to play disciplined football. They have to play. They had to come out and play a disciplined game, and they did not do that. They did not do that. I mean, false starts. You got false starts in the game. Like, you can't come out like that, Miami. You cannot come out like that. Like, there's like, how could you come out like that? There's no way. There's no way Miami had the business to come out and play the way that they played, man. No way. Undisciplined. I'm trying to find the penalties, because if I'm not mistaken, like the penalties, they had 12 penalties for 96 yards. That's a football field. Now, granted, now I'm not. They was nowhere near as undisciplined as Arkansas. Arkansas almost had two football fields. That's too many penalties for a team like Miami to play in that game. You can't play the game like that. You cannot play the game like that, man. You got to get out if I'm not mistaken, like they got off the field. The defense the defense got off the field on third down a couple of times in that game. I'm not saying the defense didn't hold up all the way through, because they let up 365 passing yards, right? So I'm not saying that they, did their thing all the way through, right? But they got off the field third down, gave the offense they gave the offense some breathing, some chances, a lot of chances actually in this game, right? And I don't think that SMU should have even been close to hanging with Miami. Miami has the talent, and they got the players defensively to really shut SMU down. I didn't think that SMU had a chance in this game. So shout out to SMU first of all for winning. And I know a lot of people say, well, that was great coaching. Miami was out coached in this football game. They were out coached, outclassed, and they were not disciplined. You cannot you can't turn a ball over twice for if you're back. You can't you can't do that. You can't afford to turn the ball over twice, right? You just can't do that. And but you can't do that if you're back. And even then, I mean, the last interception in overtime cost them the game. So you literally cost them the game with an interception, right? We know that, but even with the other one, but the 12 penalties, that can't happen. 96 yards in Miami, that can't happen. And I just knew, and I just looked at this team and I said, man, if they gotta buckle down now. If Miami can buckle down, the rest of these games will be a cakewalk. All they gotta do is just stay focused and disciplined. That's all they gotta do. That's all Miami has to do is play, because you can't play these great coaches, these good coach teams like Jeff Brom, Louisville, the way that they did. You can't play a Rent Lashley SMU team. He been at Miami. He knows a lot about them. Miami can't have this back and forth. What are they doing offensively? What's your identity offensively? You got your guys, right? But where's that identity for Miami? Where is that line? And this is from an outsider, knowing that I don't have a dog in a fight, right? But you got a veteran quarterback. You got a fifth-year senior quarterback in Carson Beck. You have a good run game. Shamar Brown and Mark Fletcher. I thought at one point in this year was just two of the best running backs in college football to me. But then you got receivers. I think Keelan Martin from BYU is a good receiver. I think BYU's missing him right now, to be honest. I think they are. BYU's definitely missing Keelan Martin right now. Keelan Marion right now most definitely is. Good receiver, take the top off. Malachi Tony take the top off. Marion, good route runners. Beside Trader, another good guy. Like, you got the guys. Like, there's no excuse to have this game, and there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. You got the guys defensively to create pressure. You do, to be honest. Like we're not. I'm not gonna deny it. Like, I mean, Miami, they got the the defense for the most part. I think they were just on. They were not on the field long, because Miami had they won the time of possession. I know it seems like that with the 3 and outs, and you know what I'm saying, and they're not being able to move the ball, but the defense got to the quarterback enough. Tackling was poor in this game. The yak that they had, you know what I'm saying, like not being able to take the guys down, just fundamental things. Undisciplined ball. I think that's what the fundamentals. That's what it comes down to. The fundamentals, the technique. It just comes down to that undisciplined ball. Penalties, turnovers, and tackling on first contact matters. Getting your guy down, not having them break, miss tackles. You know what I'm saying? And Miami's not doing a good job of that. And it's being allowed. Has to be being allowed. And I'm not even a Miami fan, and I'm upset that they're not performing like a top team in the ACC. And at this point, who is the best team in the ACC? You want to say Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech just lost to a Pittsburgh team, to Pittsburgh. They just lost us. They just lost to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh lost earlier this year to a West Virginia team that just beat Houston, but a West Virginia team in the Big 12 that only got 2 wins on the season and one in the Big 12. Like, I don't know what So, and I mean, SMU, they got a lot. So what are we? And I mean, you could say that about, but who is the class? Like, where is it at? It's really looking real suspect in the ACC right now, and that kind of hurt. I think that hurt the conference as a total, as a whole. To be honest, I think that hurt the ACC as a whole. To be honest, because I don't, Georgia Tech. I mean, but look, Obviously, they're banking on Georgia to beat Georgia Tech at the end of this year. Georgia, so getting the help from NC State helped um, keep a lot of the playoff hopes alive for these teams because I mean, look, SMU being 4-1 in the ACC right now. I think I won't know what the remaining schedule is. I'll take a look at it here, but they can get some help. I think they can get some help from some teams in NBA. So they got so SMU got Boston College. They still got to play Louisville, and Louisville. So that game that can hurt some things. But Virginia being a loner right now, they're alone. Like SMU lost to Baylor earlier this year, like and TCU. They got 2 Big 12 losses. So I mean, like, and it just happened. I mean, you can say what you want, but that's what it is. That's what it is for these guys. And man, that's not. I just don't know. They don't have any losses in the ACC, but outside the ACC they do. But that's Big 12, 2 Big 12 teams. That's not even. That's mid tier. That's crazy. And they able to beat Miami. But you can't win like that. You can't, Miami. You just can't. Kevin Jennings was 29 for 44, 365 yards and a touchdown. Those stats are very misleading. They just are because I mean, Miami was good. That defense was there. Offensively, what are we doing? Get the put the ball in Malachi Tony's hands. Get the ball in his hands. And they tried. They tried. They did. They tried to get him in open space, and they did a fun. SMU just did it. They got out coached. They fundamentally beat Miami. They played Miami's game in this game. Yes, they played Miami's game in this, and if Miami had four uh four penalties for 40 yards in this game, if they tackled as well as SMU in this game, they win this game by much more than 6 points. It doesn't even go to overtime. You know, the penalty that hurt him the most is the penalty that got him in the field goal range. That hurt him the most. That hurt him the most. They even sent this game to overtime. But I do think that Miami beat Syracuse at home. They bounce back next week, and that does happen. But yeah, that was a crazy outcome. Texas A&M at Missouri. I think both of these guys were on a bad this week. So, but look, which makes it I think fair and a good game, and I do think that Texas A&M wins this game. They're on the bad, and we're gonna see exactly what their head coach has in store for them, and what because I believe that Texas A&M's defense is one of the best in the country. I do think that, but they really haven't. It's a lot. Some people are arguing, and their schedule shows that they're not. They really haven't played competition, but they're doing what they're supposed to do with the competition, and they're not playing up and they're not playing down. They're staying consistent and bringing that consistency in this game. But they're gonna be tested in this Missouri game. They're going to be tested with that run game, that offensive line of Missouri. Is going to pros some problems, but they should win this game even at Mizzou. Handily, they should win by a touchdown for sure. Um, Oregon and Iowa, that's going to be a good game. That's a really good game. Oregon and Iowa, that is going to be a really, really good football game because believe it or not, a lot of people they're looking at Iowa like they just lunch meat, and that is not the case at all. Iowa is not that. Iowa is actually a very good football team. They really are. In the Big Ten, like they kept that Indiana offense cut down a lot of those points. So Iowa's really been playing good ball. Gronkowski at a quarterback. Was it North Dakota State or South Dakota State? One of them, North Dakota, South Dakota. I know he came from somewhere up there. Forgive me for not remembering exactly where, but getting him over there has worked wonders, and I think that it's going to continue because he is a dual threat, regardless of what people may think or what people may not know about him. But Iowa is a good football team, and I think that and it's at Iowa, and now Oregon offense has been a little bit struggling a little bit. But look, I still think it's a good win if Iowa gets it. Good game, man. Man, it's just like the next game we're gonna talk about. It reminds me of that, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute here. But Oregon, you kind of want to look at Oregon and say they want to win this game. But if Iowa wins this game, like they automatically, jump up because Oregon has to win out to get here. But like Iowa's right there, they're not far off. I think they only got a couple losses. You know what I mean? So, but Oregon, should win, faster team, but Iowa strong. Iowa strong, disciplined, very sound. Reminds me a lot of Indiana and the way that they're gonna play ball. So, but I don't think they got the talent that Indiana has. So Oregon should get it. Very close game. Might come down to a field goal, if you ask me. And they been in Iowa, so Oregon better bring it though. Auburn and Vanderbilt, another game. I think this is a style fight for Vandy. Auburn's defense is really stingy. Hopefully they get this QB position figured out and to be able to get those wide receivers activated in this Vanderbilt team and get it. But Vandy being at home, tough, low scoring defense on that tough Auburn team. I think that Vandy gets it though. I think that Vandy beats Auburn at home. I do. Wake Forest and Virginia. Wake Forest just got like I said, they played Georgia Tech really close. But then they get boat raced by Florida State. Florida State did something to Wake Forest that was just nasty. It was just nasty. It really was. Like, I mean, it really was, man. It was not nice with what they just did to them. But before I even go into that game like that, Texas playing and I'll talk about the Texas and Vanderbilt game here soon, but I'll go back and I'll talk about that. But yeah, they played them tough. And Virginia just seems to just keep getting it in. I mean, they got a late pick six in a California game, and California has been right there, even with that true freshman quarterback. Virginia is 5-0 in the ACC right now. I think they stand at the top alone, 8-1, or right there with Georgia Tech. I don't even know if Georgia Tech drops, because I think NC State's record is like similar to California. So I don't know if they drop all the way out, but Chandler Morris has been doing a phenomenal job. The ex TCU quarterback that was transferred to North Texas that wound up at Virginia with managing the offense. 30, he was like 24 for 36 in the game, 62 yards, no touchdowns. True freshman quarterback for Cal was not 19 for 32, 213 yards, and he threw two picks, and he threw a pick six. Pick six. Threw a six pick in that game. Took it back to the crib. Jamar Taylor ran hard in this game, 21 carries, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. And defensively, they got after him. That defense, man, 3 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss. They got all kinds of pressures on them, mixed it up. Cal's defense was okay. They came to play too in this game. It was a close one. Most definitely was a close one. Wasn't an easy bout at all for Virginia at all. Virginia just didn't go in this game and say, look, they ain't just rock away with the win. No, they didn't. Because like I said, halftime, it was, I think they went in half. It was 17-7, something like that. And to be honest, they played pretty well. They played well, man. But they got to win. And shout out to Kyle. I mean, Virginia, man. Virginia's doing their thing. Virginia is really balling. They are balling. They are playing really good football right now. And I wonder what's on the rest of their schedule right now. Who's on the rest of the schedule? Out Wake Forest. Like I said, we got that. I think they get Wake Forest because they're at home, but then they got Duke. I think that might be the game that get them, and they got Virginia Tech. That's a rival game. Virginia Tech played Louisville really tough too. So yeah, they got. I think the last two. That's no slight at Duke, and then Virginia Tech at home. It's not going to be easy for this Virginia team. So yeah, they got some tough games coming up, but to win out, but they can do it. They can do it, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Especially that Duke. I think Duke is going to cause most problems to them. But that defense is really set to play a Duke team. Duke's strength is definitely passing the ball, but we'll see what they do with running it. Darren Minster could definitely throw the ball really well and do his thing. And it's crazy because Cal just played Virginia really well. But Louisville's at home in this bout. Louisville had a tough one versus Virginia Tech, and but I think Louisville's defense. I think Louisville should have beat um Virginia, man. I think they should, man. Like for real, man. And it's crazy he didn't, but yo, like it's different. This team is really good, man. Louisville is really good. Jeff Brom's team is good. 7-1, 4-1 in the conference. Isaiah Brown. Miller Moss he'll turn it over, so yeah, he's not really dependable. But Kyron Drones just look a shell of himself. Chris Bell going good with Colin Lacey, man. Colin Lacey, Isaac Brown, Bell. But that defense is that people sleep on, and I was shocked that they really couldn't get the Drones, but they just gave him that's DC over there just gave him some looks and it just didn't look good at all. I mean, his rushing was there. He ran the ball. Drones did. He ran the ball well in this game, but didn't pass the ball at all good in this game. And they held him to like what? That's another team under 250 total yards of in the game that Louisville held Virginia Tech to. I mean, they were supposed to. Virginia Tech's not a really good team, but that Louisville defense is good. It's a good defense. Um, and they couldn't cause some problems. And I think that Louisville beats California. Long story short, so a couple more minutes here, and then I'll be out of here. So then we got the last two games on the slate for the top 25. You got Navy playing Notre Dame. Notre Dame's just struggling, man. They just struggled in the game versus like I said, they struggled. They did with Boston College going into halftime 12-7. That was not a Notre Dame type of game that you want to have, man. Notre Dame can't have those type of games at all. Like and granted, I get it. You have a lot of people. Well, they had penalties in that game, and it hurt them. And granted, it hurt them. You can't have that, but they didn't. It's like they were close, but Boston College had more. They turned the ball over once. Boston College turned the ball over 3 times, and they still they couldn't do nothing with every turnover that you was getting. That team was 1-7. Like come on, like you like that, like, and they excuse me, gave you some problems that I think that other teams. CJ Carr played a good game. I think. I mean, he played good. He was 18 for 25 in the game, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he should do that versus them. He should be able to do that versus Boston College. Like I was surprised that game didn't end up differently. Like I really did, because they should have done that to Boston College. got to the quarterback. The defense got to the quarterback 6 times. It just was ugly. Like penalties started stalling the drives out. It was like it was a weird game for me for Notre Dame. It really was. And just didn't put up as many points as I thought they would with Boston College, but they got the dub, and that's all that matters, right? You know what I'm saying? That they got the win, and that's all that matters, right? Period. All right. So now Notre Dame only got one on the road. They got to win out to secure their spot, and I think that Notre Dame is in a tough position to do so because they're going to beat Navy. I'm taking Notre Dame to beat Navy, but then they have to go to Pittsburgh and play a Pittsburgh team that offense is rolling. And I think that's the only team that they got left, but they can't afford to play Pittsburgh the way that they did Boston College. They can't do that because Pittsburgh has a team. I think Pittsburgh's going to cause some problems for Notre Dame. I'm saying it right now. I'm overlooking this Navy game for Notre Dame. Notre Dame should handle Navy for sure. North Texas took care of business versus them versus Navy, and I think Navy went into that game with North Texas. If I'm not mistaken, I think they went into that game undefeated. If I'm not mistaken, they went into that game undefeated. Like, of course, they should have to handle business versus them, and you think that Pittsburgh's not, but Pittsburgh, they got linebacker. They got some very athletic linebackers at there that can stop the run. If they're front, if they can, if they're up for all 4 quarters of fighting with Notre Dame and shutting out rundown, and they got the DBs that can neutralize. I think it's going to be that's a bit of a trap game for Notre Dame. Like, if Notre Dame going to Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh and they handle business the way that they supposed to, man, shout out to them, man. I'm happy for them, and that's big respect, big respect. Not even going to lie, big respect for them if they handle business versus Pittsburgh. But I do think Pittsburgh has a team that can cause problems for them. If Boston College can, yeah, and granted, the game was weird. The penalties, some of the penalties did some things, but hey, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be hype. It's gonna be hype. That game is going to be hyped up. Assuming that Pittsburgh takes care of business, and then goes and play when they play Notre Dame at home. It's gonna be hype, and I do think that they're gonna be on the bye. I'll check and see, but I do think that they'll be on the bye week. But to check now. But yeah, North Texas took care of business versus Navy. Navy came into that game undefeated, 7-1, 5-0, and they lost 31-17. So yeah, absolutely Notre Dame should go in there and win that game. I'm overlooking that game for Notre Dame, like I said. But yeah, they got no business with doing that. I think Pittsburgh is doing what they should do right now. They did beat Stanford 35-20. Don't think that it was the best game that Pittsburgh played, but Stanford had been trying to show up and play ball. But that a true freshman quarterback we got, Mitchell Hassan, had 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he threw 2 picks. He can't turn the ball over versus Notre Dame. He can't be getting gun ho. He got to take care of the ball. Jakiron Turner running the rock too. Which is crazy because I don't know why Reed ain't can't stay healthy, but why he's just in and out, can't stay healthy, and I think that's hurting him. But we'll see what happens though. We're gonna see what happens for real. All right. Because he's gonna be a beast, bro. Beast. Because like I said, we got the receivers and we got the D, man, and get it done. Like, got some receivers out there, got the quarterback that can get him the ball. The defense is most definitely there. Cameron Lindsay stepping up, being good. Kyle Lewis and Cameron Lindsay both. Like I said, we got the linebackers, bro. They young, they athletic. The DBs is there. They're playing as a team. That team's hit Pittsburgh's team. They're on fire right now. We're 5-1 in the ACC. 7-2 overall right now. I mean, we got to play Miami. Yeah, I'm saying we definitely got Miami on the schedule. We got Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami left for Pittsburgh on the schedule. Fire. Straight gauntlet. Straight. We got this. It's all or nothing. It's earn it and get in for Pittsburgh. That's all it is. It's earn it and get in. Notre Dame got a bye week. Then we going straight into the gauntlet. So we got a bye week to play Notre Dame at home. Get a whole week to prepare for Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? And then Georgia Tech, and then home versus Miami. Yeah. All ranked opponents. And they all fighting. They getting up to the playoffs. The playoffs start November 15th for a lot of teams. The playoffs start now for a lot of teams. A lot. Oklahoma, Texas, Pittsburgh, Louisville, Virginia. Everybody got to win out. Nobody can take L's right now at this point in the season. If you're not an Indiana or Ohio State, you can't take L's right now. And then I got Alabama beating LSU at home. But those are the last two that I got. And you can't take L's at this point.